I have always thought that there might be a lot of cash in starting a new religion. That's what George Orwell wrote in a letter in February 1938. Exactly 10 years later, science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard began publishing his first pseudo-scientific books, works that would soon form the foundation of the Church of Scientology. Over time, Scientology would attract tens of thousands of followers, including Hollywood stars like John Travolta and Tom Cruise. Hubbard's gift for storytelling was legendary. His colleague Isaac Asimov once recalled how he and a group of writers, along with their wives, sat spellbound, listening to Hubbard speak. He told stories fluently, without hesitation, in perfectly formed paragraphs. But Hubbard's charisma had another side. In 1984, hearings were held in a case initiated by the Church of Scientology against its former member, Jerry Armstrong. The church sought to compel Armstrong to return copies of archival materials related to Hubbard's biography and to prohibit him from disclosing their contents. The court denied the church's claims and ruled in Armstrong's favor. In his written decision, Judge Paul Breckenridge described Hubbard as follows: "The organization is clearly schizophrenic and paranoid, and this bizarre combination seems to be a reflection of its founder, L. Ron Hubbard. The evidence portrays a man who is a pathological liar regarding his background, accomplishments, and credentials. His writings and records reveal unrestrained egotism, greed, lust for power, vindictiveness, and aggression toward anyone he perceives as disloyal or hostile." Another well-known story of a self-proclaimed prophet took place 120 years before Hubbard's lifetime when the large Smith family moved to Palmyra, New York State. There, a 14-year-old boy named Joseph Smith went into a grove to pray. Later, he would claim that he had been seized by a dark power, but then freed, and in the air he saw two faces. One of them, Jesus Christ, told him that all existing churches were false, and that in time the full gospel would be revealed to him. Over the years, the details of this encounter, of course, changed in his retellings. 3 years later, another miraculous encounter. An angel named Moroni appeared to Joseph and told him about golden plates containing ancient scriptures that he must translate into English. Showing those plates to anyone, of course, was strictly forbidden. Throughout the year 1828, Smith worked on the translation. Martin Harris, the man who helped him write it down, persistently asked to borrow the manuscript so he could show it to his acquaintances. The result was that the manuscript disappeared. As the church spread across New York State, the pressure against it grew heavier with each passing month. Toward the close of 1830, Joseph Smith urged his followers to uproot their lives and journey to Ohio. Many sold everything they owned before setting out, often for far less than it was worth, simply so they could follow their prophet on the road to Kirtland. From the very first days of the church's presence in that town, its members felt the hostility of both the local authorities and the ordinary townsfolk. On top of that, discontent began to grow within the church itself. Eventually, Smith resolved to leave Kirtland behind. Once again, the members of his church followed him, abandoning not only their homes but even the temple they had built. In the years that followed, he would more than once be forced to uproot himself and move with his companions from one place to another. The problem was that American society in the 19th century rested on a Protestant moral code in which marriage was understood as a union between one man and one woman. Every new self-proclaimed prophet was seen either as a heretic or a fraud. Tensions grew further as the community expanded rapidly and as Smith's political ambitions became more visible. At first, Smith practiced plural marriage in secret. Later, in 1843, he would receive yet another revelation, one that proclaimed polygamy, an eternal law. The revelation required righteous men to take multiple wives, declared marriages to be eternal and to continue even after death. and warned that women who refused to enter a so-called marriage by revelation risked losing their eternal salvation. By the end of the 19th century, under pressure from the U.S. government, Church President Wilford Woodruff officially banned polygamy. Historians still debate how many wives Joseph Smith had. Estimates range from 30 to 40. The youngest, Helen Mar Kimball, was only 14 years old. Now, imagine a similar charismatic figure, not in the modern age of recorded biographies and verifiable facts, but in the distant past, when only a handful could write, and dissenting voices were silenced by the threat of death. Even if something was written down, over centuries those manuscripts would inevitably fall into the hands of those who decided what truths should survive, and which should disappear. So let's travel back to the 6th century, to medieval Arabia, to the time of the Prophet Muhammad. His father had died before he was born, and his mother, Amina, passed away when he was just 6 years old on the road to Mecca from Yathrib, where she had been visiting relatives. Her death was most likely caused by an acute infection, which was common in those days. 2 years later, Muhammad's grandfather also died, and the boy came under the care of his uncle Abu Talib, his father's oldest brother. Among ancient Arab tribes, it was customary to send infants to be raised by Bedouins in the desert. Such an upbringing was believed to toughen the child and develop strength and endurance. Following this tradition, the young Muhammad was entrusted to a Bedouin tribe soon after his birth. According to the hadiths of Sahih Muslim, it was there, while he was playing with other children, that the angel Jibril appeared before him. He split open Muhammad's chest, removed his heart, and extracted a clot of blood from it, saying, "This is the portion of Satan within you." To complete the ritual, the angel washed the heart in a golden basin and then returned it to Muhammad's body. Here we find the first major contradiction between the Quran and the Hadiths, because the Quran insists that the hearts of prophets and believers are protected from Satan's influence. To resolve this, later theologians reinterpreted the Hadith as a metaphor, a symbolic purification of the soul rather than a literal event. According to the early historian Ibn Ishaq, when Muhammad was around 12 years old, he joined his uncle on a caravan journey to Syria. In the town of Busra, the caravan supposedly met a Christian monk named Hira, who claimed to see in the boy the signs of a prophet. He warned Abu Talib, "The Jews may wish him harm." This story is well known in Islamic literature, but historically uncertain. Ibn Ishaq did not provide a complete chain of transmission for it. Later scholars, such as the British Orientalist Montgomery Watt, suggested that the episode may have been added centuries later to link Muhammad with earlier prophetic traditions and to show that his divine mission was recognized even before Islam. As he grew up, Muhammad participated in what became known as the Fijar War, the sacrilegious war, helping his uncles by carrying arrows to the battlefield. At the age of 25, he entered the service of a wealthy merchant woman named Khadija, managing her trade caravans. That same year, Khadija proposed marriage to him. She was around 40 years old at the time. She came from the noble and wealthy Banu Asad clan, and she inherited her fortune after the death of her father and her 2 husbands. Yes, before Muhammad, she had been married twice. And according to some sources, she had 2 children from each marriage. Naturally, she was a good match for Muhammad. As an experienced and wealthy woman, she could provide him with a carefree life under her protection, and after her death, he would be able to inherit all her wealth. During their marriage, Muhammad often retreated to the cave of Hira, near Mecca, to meditate and reflect on spiritual matters. It was there, at the age of 40, that the angel Jibril appeared to him delivering the first revelation, Surah 96 of the Quran. One of Muhammad's future wives, Aisha, provides a more detailed account of this meeting. The angel came to him in it and asked him to read. The prophet replied, "I do not know how to read." The angel caught me forcefully and pressed me so hard that I could not bear it anymore. He then released me and again asked me to read, and I replied, I do not know how to read. Whereupon he caught me again and pressed me a second time till I could not bear it any more. He then released me and asked me again to read, but again I replied, I do not know how to read. Thereupon Angel caught me for the third time and pressed me, and then released me and said, Read in the name of your Lord who has created all that exists, has created man from a clot. Read in your Lord is most generous, who taught by the pen, taught humanity what they knew not. Then Allah's messenger returned with the inspiration, his neck muscles twitching with terror till he entered upon Khadija and said, Cover me! Cover me! They covered him till his fear was over, and then he said, Oh, Khadija, what is wrong with me? Then he told her everything that had happened and said, I fear that something may happen to me. To which Khadija responded with equal excitement, Never! But have the glad tidings, for by Allah, Allah will never disgrace you as you keep good reactions with your kith and kin. Speak the truth, help the poor and the destitute, serve your guests generously, and assist the deserving calamity-afflicted ones. Khadija then accompanied him to Waraka bin Nawfal. Waraka was the son of her father's brother, who during the pre-Islamic period became a Christian and used to write the Arabic writing and used to write of the Gospels in Arabic as much as Allah wished him to write. He was an old man and had lost his eyesight. Khadija said to him, "Oh, my cousin, listen to the story of your nephew." Waraka asked, "Oh, my nephew, what have you seen?" The Prophet described whatever he had seen. Waraka said, "This is the same angel whom Allah had sent to Moses. I wish I were young and could live up to the time when your people would turn you out." Allah's messenger asked, "Will they drive me out?" Waraka replied in the affirmative and said, "Never has a man come with anything like what you have brought and not been met with hostility. If I remain alive until the day you are driven out, I will support you strongly." But after a few days, Waraka passed away, and the divine revelation paused for a time. The Prophet became so sorrowful that, as has been reported, he repeatedly contemplated throwing himself from the tops of high mountains. Each time he climbed a mountain intending to cast himself down, Gabriel would appear before him and say, "O Muhammad, you are truly Allah's messenger." Then his heart would grow calm, and he would return home. And whenever the pause in revelation lasted too long, he would do the same as before. But whenever he reached the top of a mountain, Gabriel would appear before him and repeat the same words he had said earlier. Muhammad continued to receive revelations over the next 23 years, which later became the Quran. He and Khadija were married for about 24 years, after which she passed away. In the same year, his uncle also died, and with his death, Muhammad's active political and military activity began. Give this video a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The button is somewhere down there, and the donation link is in the description. See you next time.